Hey, Duckies and Dice Fiends. My streamer bot or OBS or something updated, and now my stream deck isn't working, and I didn't realize that until I hit this button because some of the other buttons did work, and I had a hi. It is Tuesday. That means it's time for the Table Talk Show. Thank you all for being here. Matt, thank you so much for the resub. 16 months. You are ridiculous, sir. Thank you so much. Welcome on in. I am Kay. I am half of this show. I have a lot of things coming up that are not really fully announced yet. But on the on the 15th of this month, of next month, not this month, 15th of October. Words are really hard today, y'all. 15th of October, Emergency Power Podcast is returning. If you back us on Patreon, you get lots of extra goodies, as well as you get your episodes a week early. And I actually have a promo code to get, I think, 60% off your first month, something like that. If you would like to support us and or get a shout out at the end of the podcast as a thank you. Other stuff coming soon. Also this. Also, David, who the heck is you and what the heck is we doing here?
I had something witty to say, but then the whole Stream Deck hiccup completely threw me off, and now it is gone. And by witty, I mean something that I find amusing, because really I'm only trying to make me laugh, and I'm very good at making me laugh.
I mean,
the jokes are dumb, the jokes are crass, but I am hilarious. Anyway, hi, I'm David. This is the Chaotic Wholesome Tuesday Table Talk show, where every week we talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better player, how to be a better GM, how to roll initiative and only initiative, how to be a better person, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity so that everybody can have a good time.
And Lurking Rider says, and your laughing makes us laugh because your laugh is the best. And it is.
Oh, well, thank you.
Fully agree. Also, David, what the heck are we going to be doing on Saturday?
On Saturday, we are hosting a small fundraiser for someone who got out of the hospital and can't work yet, so that he can continue to live and hopefully make it to PAX if the State Department gets their shit together. But no, 9 o'clock Pacific, noon Eastern, whatever that is in European.
5 p.m.
5 p.m. I will be
EST.
here playing, well, at least starting with South of Midnight. We'll see how it goes. But I'll be going for 3 or 4 hours, and you should show up because we'll be giving away digital codes for games once an hour over the course of the stream.
And you do not have to donate to win those, but there are other incentives, including making David play a scary game for Halloween.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah.
David loves scary games.
Look, I love horror movies. The reason I love horror movies is because I can watch people do shit that I would never, ever do, that I would never dream of doing. Like, the Pandemonium taught me that. So in many zombie movies, some asshole gets bit and then is like, oh man, I'm gonna hide this from the group until it becomes a problem for everyone. I would never do that. If I get bit by a zombie, well, it would depend. If everyone around me was a bunch of assholes, I would absolutely hide it because I'm gonna turn into a zombie and I'm gonna bite all those motherfuckers. But outside of that, I get zombie apocalypse with Kay. I'm gonna be like, all right, Kay. So I got about 15 minutes. And then I'm going to go out there and you're going to hear a loud noise. Don't come investigating. I'm just throwing off the zombies. And that would be it. But no, the Pandemonium, the Panini taught me that there are people in real life who would get bit by a zombie and then come and pat you on the back and give you like a big old hug and a sloppy wet kiss. And be like, I might have gotten nibbled a little bit, but it's not anybody's business. It's a personal decision. What happened to personal freedom? Motherfucker. Anyway, I forget what I was talking about. I'm just mad about
Horror movies or
I'm,
horror
I'm
games.
yeah. So I get to watch people do things that I wouldn't do. But the horror game is like, hey, you know that dumb thing that you wouldn't do? You know, like the killer's outside, so you're gonna run upstairs where you can't get away from him. Yeah, you need to run upstairs. And I'm like, maybe not. Maybe let's not do it. And the game is like, nah, you gotta do it, bro. You gotta do it.
Mhm.
Also, there's something far more visceral about a horror game rather than a horror movie. And I'm not even one of those people who really like puts myself in the like seat of like it's never a personification for me playing a character in a game. Like people always like look at me like, well, why do you play girls in games? It's like, listen, I'm not an egg waiting to crack. If you are, that's fine, but that's not me. I like looking at women. Like, sue me. Like if I'm gonna play this game for 500 hours, am I gonna look at a dude the whole time or a lady the whole time? But with the horror games, where there's something about them where it's much more personal than a horror movie, and in a lot of ways, it's much more scary. And so between having to do stupid things that I would not do, and then also and that's the other thing. When I am scared, I skedaddle. Okay, I skedaddle. If I'm out in the world and I hear one cop car, blood pressure goes up. I hear two cop cars, I'm out of there. I'm gone. I'm elsewhere. I'm crossing the state line. You're never going to catch me. I know they're not there for me. However, anything could happen. I'm not going to be there. And so again, in the horror games, you're like in a swamp in Louisiana, or like, you're at some like medical facility locked in. It's like, I'd bust a window. I'd be out of there. They would have to chase me down. I tried to do a jailbreak in the hospital when I couldn't walk because I'm like, this place don't want to be here. Out of here. Get me out of here. So yeah. So just horror games in general is just like,
How about no? Lurky Rider says horror movie characters live in worlds where horror tropes / movies never existed or gripped pop culture. That's the only way I can make sense out of the utter nonsense that underpins the entire plot structure. But one of the other things, and you are all encouraged to look this up because David has been banned from looking it up, is I'm gonna make David play Default Dan on stream. And as I told David, you've all heard me say, well, I don't know if all of you have played TTRPGs with me. One of my favorite things when everything goes wrong is the statement, I hate everything that ever was. And I stole that from someone who was playing Default Dan.
Oh, yikes. Also, it has been painful to not stop and Google this game. I need y'all to know. It has hurt me inside.
So there will be game giveaways, there will be various redeems, and we appreciate y'all showing up, hanging out, donate if you are in the position to. We understand life is hard if you cannot. And Rex says that's going to be an experience. Yeah. I made a bunch of folks at Avalanche play this, and it was very funny. I will tell the story after David has experienced it. So if you are able to hang out, because everyone in chat obviously makes the stream easier, but also helps get eyeballs on it. Retweets are appreciated. We really appreciate y'all. You are awesome. So that is going to be Saturday. I think that's all we need to cover, David, before we can talk about our actual topic.
I think so. I know you have a thing coming out, but that hasn't been announced yet.
Nope. I've got like 2 unannounced things. One thing was announced today, but not who, so... Yeah, I'm going to be in an audio drama. I'm not allowed to tell you who I'm playing. But today, David is incredible and came up with a topic because my brain has been frazzled. And we're going to talk about encounters and how it's not just combat.
Listen, it's not just combat. It's combat on top of combat. You have to roll initiative on your initiative. Okay. Like while you're fighting this battle, you have to fight another battle, and you have to play a video game at the same time. And if you and your turn is 30 seconds, okay? If you take too long on your turn, then the bad guys just get you.
And
But
if you
no,
die in the game, you die in real life.
Right. Yeah, I'm sitting there with a knife in Minecraft, just waiting for you to take your turn.
So chess boxing. Yes.
Listen, when I heard about chess boxing, I was like, no. And then I saw a video of these motherfuckers playing chess boxing. And I'm like, yo, I would never.
Lurky Grider says, and before the derail. Question. What's your favorite way to get players invested in a non-combat encounter that involves centaurs?
That depends. If they are monster fuckers, you make it a sexy centaur. If they are not monster fuckers, you make it a sexy centaur, and then you make that centaur evil. And then they are monster fuckers. The key is to make them into monster fuckers.
Oh, I realized I can. So, my friend Jago plays Renala, who is Burton's partner in the home game, which might be coming back. Might be coming back to stream, y'all. And I have long threatened to run Ben, our the grumpiest man who has ever lived. I don't know, David might argue that, but that might be a fool's errand, yes. I've long been threatening to make Ben play the My Little Pony TTRPG because it would amuse me, and he would ruin it, and I am here for it because I would know what I was getting into. And Jago was like, I want to play Stalin Pony. And I broke him because I said, not Renala. We could just make the Renala centaur. Yes. Neigh. I just watched the light leave David's eyes.
Yeah, just
Renala would be a sexy centaur.
Look, the phrase sexy centaur makes me uncomfortable.
Discord show up, but make it seem like you're referring to Discord, the app. Yes. True facts. One year, for my birthday, I made David and my friend Jared, who are also really big Star Trek fans, come over, and we all got drunk, and then I made them watch the Discord episode. And it ended with just Jared going, "This is just Encounter at Farpoint Station. This is just," and I'm like, yes, I know. This is why I made you watch a pony. But now that we have thoroughly derailed, well done, Lurking Writer. David, what the heck are encounters that aren't combat? What am I doing if I'm not bonking?
Okay, so in D&D specifically, there are three types of encounters. There's a combat encounter. There is a NPC encounter, and then a trap/puzzle. Now, I'd argue that the bulk of a good game is going to be non-combat NPC encounters. That the bulk of what you're doing is interacting with characters in the world to try to either extract information from them or influence them to do the thing that you want them to do. Or just some sort of like give and take. Like, you know, you're trying to make friends with the town guard so that when an aristocrat gets stabbed in an alleyway, he doesn't think it was you. Because that has never happened in one of my games. So they could meet a Discord.
They could meet a centaur who was having a throwing contest. So they could meet a disc.
Hey, yeah, so, oh, that hurts. but I think we should start with the elephant in the room, and that is combat encounters. Because if you've watched enough TTRPGs, you've watched a game where they get into a combat encounter and two things always happen. One is one person goes, I roll, I hit, here's my damage, or I don't hit, end of my turn. Or there's one asshole who is doing literally anything but trying to fucking help. Like, it'll be a bar fight and there'll be somebody playing a rogue and be like, hey, so is the guy who's watching the door, is he still watching the door? Is he in here? Like, no, I still watch the door. I go and pick his pocket. It's like there are four guys jumping your healer and you're outside the building picking the pocket of the lowest paid employee in the business. Because the barkeep is usually the person who owns it. The wait staff get tips. So the guy on the door is probably paid in beer. Like, what are you doing? So like, and as always, we're approaching things from the GM perspective and the player perspective. But I know that when I design a combat encounter, or actually when Kay and I design a combat encounter, because I will like do like the numbers and the nuts and bolts, but Kay and I design these encounters together. And the reason it's important that we both design them together is because combat encounters are a form of storytelling. If you aren't telling a story from your battle, then it's just filler and you're wasting everybody's time. And again, yes, there are people and there are systems where it's like you go into the dungeon, you kill a bunch of things, yes, you steal a potion off of a corpse, you kill the mimic, and then you get the treasure chest, and then you rescue the princess, and then you get out of there. Like, and for people who want, that's fine. I have not watched a TTRPG like that in like the past 2 years. And I'm not going to say that every single thing that I've seen has been like, you know, really character driven and character focused, but they're all narratives. It's all storytelling. Mm-hmm. Like TTRPGs are collaborative storytelling. So when it would be dumb to have this whole collaborative storytelling thing and then turn that off for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and then turn it back on. No, like your combat needs to be a part of your storytelling. And circling back to the original, the best example of this is Lord of the Rings. Because everybody remembers Gimli and Legolas keeping track of how many orcs they're killing and having a good time and competing with one another. Everybody remembers Aragorn kicking that helmet. And if you ever watch Lord of the Rings with anybody who is deep into Lord of the Rings, then just pause at that scene and then let them tell you about, oh, this wasn't scripted, and Viggo Mortensen actually broke his toe or broke his foot or whatever, and so his Yelp will pay. Just let him have it, okay? They sat you in front of 4.5 hours worth of movie just to drop this tidbit on you. Just let them have it. Yep. It's 2 minutes. It's 10 minutes out of your life. Just let it go.
Rex says 100% combat needs to have a reason to happen. Watch Jackie Chan fighting Benny the Jet Rodriguez for some great storytelling in a fight.
Right, and actually a lot of old kung fu movies and a lot of like late 80s, early 90s Jackie Chan movies are great examples of story, not just cinematic storytelling, but great storytelling in the fight. And so, like, you know, you have your big bad, and also players, please let your big bad monologue, like let your GM get in his monologue, because I know that I have had a big bad in one campaign at this point for like 4 years now, 3 years now, and I have been thinking about that final monologue this whole time. I lay in bed at night thinking about it, and I know Kay is going to pull some bullshit, and he's going to be in the middle of his fucking monologue, and Kay is going to be like, "But wait a second," and then not only interrupt his monologue, but break my entire encounter, which is part of
Also,
the joy of TTR.
I'll also say I've had GMs go, "Oh, Laria, thank you so much for the resub. 18 months. Y'all are ridiculous.
Wow.
We're so
Thank you.
glad you're still here. Thank you for still being here." I've also had a GM go, "So this guy's just gonna talk until you all stop him." Tell your players which one you want, because if I know David really wants to deliver that monologue, yeah, I'm a shut, unless I personally like, look, if this big bad like killed my character's mama, he don't get his monologue. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. So a feat/layer action for big bags called "As I Was Saying," which stops the players from interrupting a monologue.
That would be brilliant. But
So good.
you know, like even if you're going to have your players ambushed on a road by bandits, like I actually developed a roll table where I need another link.
No. Sent.
Yeah. So I developed a roll table for when I did need like a filler combat. What these people had in their pockets. And I didn't have any like stories attached to them, but I made it so that the items were interesting enough whereby I could build a story off. And like I know two of the items that
Hey, Lamia, welcome.
hello. Two of the items that my players found was one was a coin with a scratched side, like one of the faces was scratched, and the other was a letter from the dude's daughter talking about how excited she was that he was going to come home when he could pay their farm's debt. And so, like, you know, like, are you a jerk for like murdering people and stealing their stuff? Yes, but are you going to feel at least a little bit bad if he's got like a daughter to go home to? Like maybe a little bit, maybe a smidge, or maybe you're just going to reveal how much of an asshole you are when you don't feel bad that you just killed somebody's dad. But the idea is, even for something as like routine as you get jumped by bandits on the highway, you could put in elements that make your players go, "Oh, this wasn't just a computer generated automaton. This was a person that had a history, that had a childhood, that had hopes and dreams, and now, for better or worse, was on this path, and then their path ended with you."
And
then on top of that, I have a reason for bandits to be out there. Like, you know, was there a war and were there a bunch of deserters? Now those deserters are now bandits. Is there a famine going on somewhere? And you know, if people can't get food, you know, did a jail burn down? Like the biggest, baddest prison? Like, you know, were there, you know, groups of gangs that were like fighting? Like, they're all different sort of reasons why, and that adds texture to your world and gives context to your players.
And this is important for streamed games or podcast games, especially. But it's also true just for home games. people need a reason to be interested in combat. Because I'm not gonna lie, there are like even something like Dimension 20. It's like, oh, it's a combat episode. Like, yeah, I know there's gonna be funny moments, but like, it's not gonna be the same as, you know, a role player exploration episode. And there is, you know, this there is a rule in a lot of systems of like, you have 6 seconds, you don't get to talk or communicate that much. But you also kind of have to let players do that in order to keep combat interesting for each other, for the audience. And yes, as a GM, if people are talking strategy between turns or trying to coordinate in more words, more time than they'd be allowed to, like, fine. But if you don't give them the Legolas and Gimli comparing numbers, right? If you don't give people that space to banter and to show their personality and to have fun with the combat, people are going to tune out. They just are. They're going to zone out. Yeah, you need to walk that line of. You heard what I said about his mother. You have to walk that line of let players, and like maybe that makes combat take a little longer. Fine, combat's long enough already. Let players insert levity, insert their personality, up the ante by taunting people. Let players show their character personalities through that, or else it's just gonna be, I roll dice, I hit, that's my turn. I roll dice, I hit, that's my turn. And I know there are people who find that fun, and that is a way to play, and I'm so happy for those people. But that doesn't work for me, and it's really not good for a streaming and or podcast audience.
Right. So you have different way, and then on top of that, when you're designing your combat, so I feel like I don't need to tell players to utilize their kit, because we've had people who have never played a TTRPG sit and just be reading their spells during a combat, and they were like, okay, it's your turn, and they're like, hey, does this do that? And we're like, no, it doesn't do that at all, but you get to do it this time because that's really interesting.
Yeah.
But as a GM, like, make your in addition to the storytelling aspect, make combat cinematic and then make it more dynamic, because everybody has had a fight in a tavern or on a street. Everybody has had a fight in a room that is a dungeon, where it's just like flat, 100-foot square. You know, you magic missile, they fireball, you counterspell, the end. But if it's an ambush and there's somebody on the second floor of that building, if one of the important people turns around and tries to run away, if, you know, you're fighting kobolds and then night elves show up or orcs show up, if there are, in terms of terrain, in terms of combat, that's the other thing. It's like, put more than one type of monster in. Like, the number of encounters I've seen where it's like, you've got 10 kobolds, go. And especially if you're using like humanoid creatures, make one of the orcs a wizard. Make one of them a cleric. Make 2 of them paladins. Like, don't just have like, okay, well, he's got a club and he's coming at you.
And also, especially for lower level combat, if you've reached the point where you swing and you miss, and they swing and they miss, and you swing and you miss, at some point, just have, like, don't be afraid to have your baddies go, oh, heck this. Nah, this is not worth it, because no one has fun when it's,
Right.
Don't keep rolling until something dies. At some point, someone has to go, this isn't worth it.
And two of my big complaints about D&D specifically is, one, a lack of retreat mechanic, and two, very obscure non-death combat rules. I want to say it's 2 sentences in the whole book of like, well, you could decide not to kill him at the end. And it's like, we need more than that, because not every round of fisticuffs need to end with someone going into a coffin.
Right.
Especially if you have PvP in the game. Like, if you got 2 paladins in the party and they have a different god, let them get into a dust up. Let them punch it out a little bit, because then they can kiss afterwards.
And that's all
then it could be
wants.
hot. Right.
Yeah. So Rex says, so 2 ogres, a troll, and 2 hags attack the party. And then Lurking Rider, 2 frost giants walk into a bar.
Right. So they're like, while combat is necessary, often it is the most boring part of TTRPGs. Like, I've seen shopping episodes that are more interesting than combat episodes. And I've run a shopping episode that was more interesting than a lot of the combat I've run.
I got asked if I was buying a cock ring.
As we know, Kay has a wide and varied collection of cock rings.
I was not, in fact, buying a cock ring.
Because you already have all the ones you need. And actually, literally, Kay does have all of the cock rings that they need. Precisely as many as are needed. But just because it is a shift in pace doesn't mean that it needs to be boring, doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be fun, and doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve the same care and attention that your other types of encounters are. And
you know, if something is getting boring, you know, oh, you're fighting a bunch of little kobolds. The fight is, everyone's kind of checked out. Cool, they all scream. And a medium-sized dragon. Their god just enters the combat. Why not? You know? Shake it up a bit.
More than once, I have like... And another complaint I have about Dungeons and Dragons is the idea of combat rating. Because combat rating is, one, based off of draining resources not being deadly, and 2, after a certain point, there's no way to account for player creativity. Like, so I'm foolish. I give my players magic items. I'm like, listen, look on the uncommon table. If you want something, it's yours. Just you're good. Go. And then one dude's like, barrel. And I'm like,
Ring of Barrels.
Barrel. He's like, yeah, I want the Ring of Barrels. I'm like, cool, bet, it's yours. First combat encounter. I try out things and I do the math. I'm like, okay, they're this level. The bad things are this level. I increase the amount of them so that the levels would be comparable and it wouldn't be too tough, but it wouldn't be too barrel. Stuck 3 of them motherfuckers in a barrel. And I was just like, well, I need a new monster.
It was great. So,
oh man,
I don't want to spend the entire episode on combat because that's the encounters everyone always talks about.
Right.
So, any other things you really feel the need to hit about combat before we move on to others?
No, but what we're going to talk about is the one that everybody showed up for, and that is traps and how much I fucking hate them.
Hey, we had fun with that one trap that took down your little whiny boy.
Yes. Now, we will cover traps briefly because I fucking hate traps. I hate traps because they are unfair and people use them wrong and people put them in stupid places. Like, traps can be incredibly valuable for environmental storytelling. Like, look at Dark Souls. Dark Souls is a game of environmental storytelling. There isn't a narrator.
Lurking Rider wants to know, if you hate your traps, how do you feel about your delts?
I'm a much bigger fan of my delts, but I wish my hamstrings were stronger, because the balance between hamstring and quads is the source of a lot of back pain. And if your back hurts, it's because your glutes are underdeveloped. The end. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. I am not a kinesthesiologist. And there are many other sources of back pain besides that. Like, I know somebody who got into a car accident and then like 10 years later found out that their spine cracked, like they had vertebrae crack, and then fused back wrong. And that's why their back has been hurting this whole fucking time. And so you can't just tell them, just do deadlifts, bro. But yeah, no, like your first step to address your back pain is do one variation of deadlift, do one variation of donkey kicks, make your butt bigger, and then your back pain will decrease.
Rex says he has back pain from carrying the whole party.
Fair. Which is why you're in the gym doing squats. But if you're gonna use traps, make sure that you give plenty of notice to your characters in game that traps are going to be coming. Because if you have somebody walking into a tavern and then they take a step and then they immediately take 46 damage and they're level 1, you're an asshole. Like, there's no reasonable expectation that a trap would be. And that's why you're the and like, conversely, if there is a reasonable expectation of traps, please feel free to fuck with your players and be like, is there a trap there? There might be and then don't put a trap there. That's great. That's hilarious. 10 out of 10. Please do that. But geez, 3 traps. You get 3 traps. I don't care how long your campaign is. If your campaign is 5 fucking years long, you get 3 traps.
Okay.
And that's it. You're done.
My one exception is I took a module that I stole from Critical Role and adapted, and it's 4 to 5 rogues and a sorcerer breaking in to the mansion of the most powerful magic user in the city. And it's all traps. It's all traps. But everyone knows that going in.
Right. And that's how you use, 1, how you use traps responsibly, and 2, how you use traps for storytelling. Because, like, in that module that Kay wrote, the big bad in it demonstrated her personality through the traps that she used. Because there are different types of traps that different people use for different things. And all of her traps were fucking heinous. She hated you and wanted you to die painfully. And that's what all the traps were screaming to you. And it's like, and then again, you went into it knowing that you were breaking into a vault that happened to have a bed in it. Not even someone's home, happened to have a bed in it. Like, if you're doing a heist, or if you're going in, something that I haven't sprung on my players yet, but it's something I'm spinning out into a module, is quest giver shows up and says, hey, I need a party to come with me into this dungeon. I have a map of the layout of the dungeon and all the traps in it. And then he walks in and it's like, right this way. It's like, there's supposed to be a trap here, so I'm going to step over here instead. And then immediately steps on a trap, immediately dies. And then you have a quandary. One, is the MacGuffin you put at the bottom of that dungeon enough to get your players to go down there and get it? And 2, now they have to reckon with the fact that this guy didn't know what he was talking about, and now they have to be on the lookout for traps. This is how you use traps responsibly. This is how you but just sticking traps in places. Like if someone's breaking into a warehouse and you have like, a fireball trap, you have like pit with spikes in warehouse. It's like, no one does this. What are you doing? Lich's lair? Yes. Traps.
And traps can be very fun for, what's here, how do we get around it? All that can be very fun conversation. But also, like, if you just have random traps, as I think Rex was saying earlier in chat, you spend every minute inspecting every single door, every single thing, and it slows your gameplay to a painful crawl.
Right. That's not fun.
And like one of the more fun moments I had in a campaign, that was not my favorite, was we were meeting up with an adventuring party that had gone ahead of us. And they had gone through this trap-filled lair and gotten past a bunch of the traps, disarmed or triggered a bunch, but some of them like automatically reset. And so we're following behind a group of people, and one of them was like a water elemencer. And so there was a one of those things where you walked through it and bolts would shoot out of the wall on both sides and get you. And I was playing a not very bright character, and this character, the ones that went before, used ice to clog those holes so they could walk through. It had been long enough that ice had melted. So my not bright character comes through and is like, oh, it's a water-based trap. So long as we don't disturb the water, it's fine.
Woof. Woof.
So I leapt directly into that trap, knowing it was going to trigger and hurt. Just because I'm like, this is funny. This is fun. Right? If you're looking for why would this be here? What is this telling me? What is the environment telling me? Disturb the water, you get shot. Cool, I'm just going to jump it and not disturb the water. And I still got caught because it was just motion.
Also, dungeon closets. Anyone, or no, monster closets. Anyone who has played the Doom games, like 1992 Doom, knows you pick up key, wall come down, imps attack you. And that leads me to my bigger point. I think the number one sin that people make when designing traps is there are too many instantly fatal traps. Like if you have a dungeon and you got a MacGuffin down in the bottom of that, go ahead, put in like your spike trap, put in your like ceiling collapse track, put in something catastrophic, but don't put it as your first one, and also make it obvious. Like if you're designing any aspect of your game so that your players aren't having a good time, 1, you're an asshole, 2, you're a bad designer, and 3, your players aren't having fun. So what is the point? Why are they in your house? Why are they on your Discord call? And even more importantly, why are people watching your stream if you are making 4 to 6 people miserable? Now, making one person miserable, that's fine. Because the person who doesn't row the boat, you twist the knife on that guy.
Yes. And yes, Rex, one of my favorite things was, we had this whole question for Ducky mimics. Oh, I made an entire party hilariously angry, telling them you have to find a book that's got a green cover, and then putting a mini mimic that was green on a table. It didn't do much damage, right? It was definitely, just a little ankle biter. But everyone was like, we good, grabs it, and then has been chomped. I like mimics, personally. I like mimics that don't always look like chests, though.
Right. So, my opinion of mimics is this. You put 2. So like it got to be a dungeon. It's got to be somewhere ancient. It got to be like underground. It got to be like somewhere out of the way. And then you put two, because when they find the first one, they go, "Oh man, we're done. No more
Yeah.
mimics. We're good."
Yeah.
And then the second one bites it.
Yes.
And I find that hilarious, because I still remember the first time I ran into a mimic in Dark Souls. I remember the room. I remember the chest. I remember going to open that motherfucker up, and that just boom, dead. Had to go get my souls back. And in every game, like years later, I was playing Link's Awakening remake on the Nintendo Switch. And the first chest I ran into, I tried to take a swing at, except one, no mimics in Zelda. Two, didn't have a sword at the time. So I'm pressing a button, nothing is happening, and I'm like, "Fuck this chest. This chest is suspicious." It's like, it's Hyrule, my guy.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's bad stuff. None of them are chests.
Yes. Rex says, I had a trapped hallway, the druid wild-shaped, ran past them all as a spider, so they did not trigger. Party waited in, and it got ugly fast. In my defense, I described the scorch marks on the walls, the blood stains, etc. Yes, that is how you trap responsibly.
Right.
Lurking Rider says, I had an outhouse mimic. The party were perceptive enough not to get eaten by it. By the mimic. The purple worm, on the other hand, that ate said mimic. Yeah. One of my favorite, Rex earlier said, like, you know, have traps that trigger on the way out when you're being chased. That was part of the thing of everyone invading the magic user's house. Is it's kind of set up so the party is maybe a little bit incentivized. Hey, DC, welcome in. The party is given incentive. Everyone agreed to this and was cool with it beforehand. We made sure PvP was cool. Everyone's given incentive to turn on each other. And every time, everyone turned on each other before they, like, right when they got to the MacGuffin, not when they got out of the mansion. It was like, MacGuffin's here, fuck you all, and it didn't go well, right? It doesn't go well when you, but David's character didn't want to be there, was kind of being like forced by with all these rogues. So they come in, they see a trap, they don't disarm it, but they all easily avoid it because it's easily avoided once you get it. And then a thing happened, and David's character went, nope, screw you guys, I'm going home. Sprinted back out the way, and I'm like, David, did he remember that there's that trap? David's like,
no, absolutely not.
and it was just like a little magic missile, like pew pew. It like hurt his shin. But it was such a funny scene of him just sitting there, like, you know, the Peter Griffin. Oh, and so the burly rogue has to come up, pick him up. Okay, come on, let's go. It was so funny.
Yeah. And then they murdered him, and it was good.
He deserved it.
He really did. He was a whiny piece of shit. Boy, howdy, do I play characters that are not like myself. I'm not saying that I'm not a whiny piece of shit. I'm just saying I don't deserve to get murdered.
So, traps should be telegraphed. They should not be so frequent that it ruins the flow of the game. Tell your players when there are going to be traps. Also, feel free to tell your players, like, hey, y'all, this is actually a safe place. Because, again, there is nothing less fun. Like, in Godplane. Like, we would be like, this fire is safe. Like, if you are in this space, you are safe. You can tell them that in and out of character. I'm not going to mention the person, but because we don't like this person. But one person tended to make a lot of, like, really weird, unusual NPCs. And it was like, this is a dude running around with, like, a coffin on his back. And everyone's like, we don't trust him. And it was like, I had to go above the table and tell them all, like, hey, this is just a reflection of me being weird. You can trust this guy because we're not going to get anywhere if you're just like, So, tell people, if everyone, you know, is just constantly check it, just like, y'all, this is a safe space. Like, you don't have to. And if I tell you this is a safe space, and then you don't check a thing and it's a trap, you deserve to murk me. Just that is fair.
At that point, pull up. Like pull up. Like I will go down to the front lawn and take my medicine.
So
because and the thing is, like, what was funny is we were running Godplane, and twice when we were running Godplane, there were multiple times where players would ask me things off stream, like either during the game or like right before or right after, and I would tell them I was gonna be fine, or blah blah blah, the fight with the big bad. Somebody was like, oh yeah, okay, so like this week we're gonna have like random stuff happen because the next week the fight is with the big bad. And I was like, yep, that sounds right. Y'all are so insightful. And it's like, doing stuff like that is fine, but like doing things, because like it's a fun surprise when you find out that you're actually fighting the big bad. Like I definitely hit somebody with, oh, not much is going to happen this week. It's next week that's going to be the big thing. And I was right, because this week was combat, and then next week was the big storytelling thing. But doing that kind of stuff is fine, but don't like screw your players. And so many traps that I've seen designed and executed in games, it's just a GM going, fuck you. And it's like, if you hate your players that much, like Counter-Strike is right there. Valorant is right there. You can be Dota and League of Legends are right there. There are plenty of ways for you to go be mad at strangers and then take out your anger on them. And I'm not going to say in a healthy way, but in a way that doesn't get you arrested.
Loki Rider says, to all who enter,
League of Legends.
To all who enter, stop. This dungeon contains dangers and traps. Stop. Coming in would be a great way to end your life. Stop. This is a telegrammed trap warning.
Right. But, and a very brief mention to puzzles. This is asking a lot, but if you're designing a puzzle, give it more than one solution, because your players will come up with ways to solve it that you did not conceive of. And if you go, nope, that doesn't work, it has to be this specific way, then you're going to have people sitting in that room for an hour and they're going to be pissed at you.
Yes. And much like we talk about with plot points, telegraph the ways that it can be solved 4 or 5 different ways. You can't have just one singular clue. If people get stuck,
Right.
you've got to find other ways to let them in on that. I will also say one of the most fun moments I have ever had with a puzzle. I was playing Kinley, the Themboisty of Thembos. We got to a door with a slidey letter puzzle, and we're supposed to spell something, and it was just spelling nothing. And like, I really wanted to get into it, but I'm also like, Kinley's a dink. Kinley's just gonna go, well, I'm sure the smarter people in the party will figure this out. Have fun, right? This doesn't seem very fun. I'm not going to do it. And we worked at that puzzle and worked at that puzzle and worked at that puzzle. And finally, the time ran out. Like, kobolds came and found us. We just had to open the door. The door wasn't locked. The puzzle was a distraction from the unlocked door. And it was so funny. I was a little mad, but I look back on that so fondly. Players come up with a solution you didn't think of, congratulate them, and imply that it was the best solution. Yeah. With Godplane, we didn't just have puzzles at times. We had, like, particular character challenges. And we had in mind the different ways that characters would overcome this challenge, the way that they would get through it, the way they would grow. One of them I wrote. I'm like, okay, here's the scenario, right? This is what it's going to be. He's going to be seeing this. And then I went, I don't know, in all caps. It was IDK, how he's going to get out of this. Let's find out. Because I'm like, I have no idea the answer to this, but I know that player is resourceful enough and knows his kit well enough that he'll come up with something, and whatever he does is going to be right.
And one more thing about puzzles before we move on to what we actually want to talk about. And that is, if you are like me, you played an RPG game in the long ago, in the early 90s, that had a long list of riddles. And the riddles were on treasure chests. And my little 10-year-old brain couldn't conceive of them. And then 6 or 7 years after the game comes out, someone releases a list of all the solutions. And then you bookmark that. And then you take that with you from Internet Explorer to Netscape to Firefox to Chrome to whatever browser you use. And you keep it for the one day that you fucking need it. And then you get all your players and you're like, everybody show me your hands. All right, here's the riddle, because you're not going to Google it. You're going to sit here and you're going to chew over this riddle that stumped 8-year-old me 30 years ago. And then you let them chew on it for a while, and then you give them the answer, and then you keep going so that you can feel vindicated, so that 8-year-old you can feel vindicated for being dumb and not getting the very obvious riddle.
I see that game.
And no, I'm not going to tell you what game it is, because I don't want y'all to go and look up and read all of the so that when you get in the game with me and I hit you with the riddle, you won't automatically know the answer. Thank you.
I also, once again with Kinley, accidentally broke someone's game because riddle being provided. Answer. Well, I'm sure I have no idea. I don't know is the answer.
Yo. But the piece de resistance, the bone app the teeth, is listen, the reason I make that joke is because someone I'm related to said that in earnest many years ago.
Those are the best.
And also, instead of saying Merlot, said Merlot. My favorite wine is Merlot. And I was just like, listen. And despite the fact that so there's a phenomenon where someone who reads a lot encounters words that they've never heard spoken, and so they pronounce them wrong. And they know how to use them correctly. They know the definitions of them. And for a long time, I was kind of mad at these people, because the first person I met who consistently used words incorrectly because he was homeschooled and read a bunch of books and learned a bunch of words from the book instead of talking to people was a giant, colossal dickbag. I might fight this guy in real life, right? I would hit him with my cane in Minecraft. But a big shout out to those people, because one, they learned vocabulary words from reading, which apparently is a lost art. And two, they're brave enough to use these words without actually having heard them spoken by another person. And that takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of insight. So
Look,
if you have ever been caught doing that, kudos to you, because you are learning in a way that most people don't.
Look, Macabre.
Oh yeah.
That one got me.
I said
It'd be a missed opportunity if the encounter Riven is part of, before you get a chance to use it.
So I was on both sides of this, because I said, and even though it's not spelled that way, I said candelabra instead of candelabra. And the whole table roasted me for a solid half an hour, which is fair.
I had someone angry of, why do I have to learn how to spell words? I have a dictionary and a thesaurus. What more do I need?
Ooh, woof. Woof. Ooh. You need more than your thesaurus. It's gonna be thesaurus from now on.
Thesaurus lives rent free in the back of my head.
But also, I was talking about fire sconces in the area, and I was like, yeah. So the brazier's lit, blah blah, blah. And the dude was like, "Is that how you say that word?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's how you say that word." And so like I've been on both sides of this, and I'm like, "That's cool that people like learn things." I think I encourage learning things.
It's, yes.
Uh, But what we're actually here to talk about is, again, the most prolific and most important type of encounter: the encounter with your GM. Number one, bring him snacks. No, look, I'm just saying you get a roll fudge in your favor every so often if you bring pizza.
Learning in my
And
math rock game, there was only supposed to be dragons.
right, so they read the terms and conditions.
Questions.
And if you want Kay to fudge rolls in your favor, bring boba tea, but bring good boba tea because Kay makes their own, and if it's bad, they will judge you.
Kay makes alcoholic boba tea, and that's the best boba tea.
I've never had alcoholic boba tea.
I basically make Irish coffee, except boba tea.
I wasn't browning out. I was immediately going through the flavor profiles of the different types of alcohol and what would work best with tea, and then trying to remember the last time I had boba tea and what kind of tea was in there. Because most of the tea that I drink is either black tea in Southern iced tea or Earl Grey. And like
Boba is generally made from overbrewed black tea.
I do like I do like balls in my mouth, but something about boba tea balls don't hit the spot.
Now I want to do a cosplay that is half Boba Fett, half Mr. T.
Oh, actually, the Boba Fett helmet with the mohawk, that would be hard as shit. That would be cool as fuck.
Yes.
I do. But NPC encounters. Everybody who has played a TTRPG has had some sort of NPC encounter, even if it's just your quest giver. Even if you just walk into a tavern and there's a bartender there and you're like, hey, I heard there was a job here. You're having an encounter. And encounters don't always have to have roles. Encounters, like I said, don't always have to devolve into combat. Sometimes it is just a pleasant interaction. Like sometimes you're just trying to get the town guard to not look at you too hard. And as someone who has lived in a place with town guards and has tried really hard to get them to not look at you too hard, sometimes the best way to do that is to speak to them directly. And I'm thinking about a night where I was 3 sheets to the wind drunk on was it Hollywood Boulevard? Yeah, it was Hollywood and Orange. There's a hotel at Hollywood and Orange, and there was a cop out there. And me and the gaggle of white people I was with stumble out of where we were eating, and the cop is standing right there. And I immediately like, hello, officer, and turn on all the charm while they escape because we're all too drunk to be public.
Pity the fool who doesn't know the way. Yes.
Oh, the story about the bear, the bear with the disguise. Oh, that shit's hilarious. It's so good.
But yes, and NPC encounters, again, can be done very wrong and very frustrating, but you generally, it is so quickly when those feel bad, because it's a social encounter, and it's very easy for us to go, ooh, that didn't feel good.
Yeah. And again, like, both approaching it from the GM side and the player side. As a player, the best piece of advice I can give anyone is treat them like a person. Don't be like, oh man, I see the guard at the bank, I roll to intimidate. It's like, no, intimidate. You know, tell them that you know where they live and that you're going to feed their cat diseased rats if they don't get out of the way. Like, tell them that you will pants them in public, that you will tell everybody that they wet the bed last week. Like, intimidate. Give them something. And the way I personally handle that is, you know, if you want to persuade somebody, if you want to intimidate somebody, I'm like, well, what do you tell them? And then based on how well you execute, that impacts the DC of the check, the intimidation, persuasion, whatever check. Like, you know, if you want to bully the king into admitting to having an affair, then that's going to be minimum DC 40. And then you're going to have to talk me down from that. And if you go, well, I'm the king of another kingdom, and if you don't cop to this, then, or I'm the king of another kingdom and your daughter is going to marry my son, and we're going to have this whole alliance because this bigger country is going to attack you, but you really need to cop to banging your mistress, then that's going to be a very different check than person walks in off the street and be like, oh, you run things around here, right? So I heard you were banging the maid. Like, it's very, very different. And it's also very different when, like, you know, you're trying to persuade somebody to, like, even if you're just like bartering in like a shopping episode. Like, if you go in and go, oh man, everything in here looks like garbage, then the guy's gonna be like, well, I made everything in here. Like that sword that you're looking at, I made 20 years ago, and that slayed a dragon. You're telling me it's garbage? And now you want a discount? If you don't get your ass out of my store.
Looking right says the best form of stealth is to act like you absolutely have every right to be there, have been going there for years. That or kill everyone. That works. I'm not too fussed.
Look, the way I play stealth games is sneak, 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 step on twig, everything dies.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, Rex
you
has had a
cannot
big...
be discovered.
Yeah, if there's no survivors.
Right. Who's gonna pull the alarm?
Rex says, I had a big diplomatic dinner and the players had to charm and intimidate their way through it. Lots of small encounters, no combat. Yeah, and like, it's not like one big roll decides everything, right? You can work your way up to it. You know, you can work on charming and making small talk and like making smaller deals that builds more trust. And then that results in the DC of the big roll for the thing that you're going for being lowered because you've built all this rapport. You've done all of these things. Storming in day one and being like, hey, you know, King, we need access to the vault for this magic item. Why? Who the heck are you? Go away. Hey, King, we've been here for a year. Look at all the good stuff we've done. You know, we stopped, we stopped the invading horde. We stopped the monster in the woods that was eating people. The townspeople love us. We're aware that another threat is coming. We need access to your vault. Very different conversations.
Right. And another thing from like the GM side is mentally add tiers to your DC room. Because if you're trying to uncover an assassination plot and you're talking to the guy that paid for the assassin to go whack the politician, he's not going to cop to it. But, you know, if you put at 12 that he will admit to being in the country at the time, but then you put at 18, he's going to lie to you, but make a slip that reveals his complicity in it. And then, at 16 or 14, you put something in between the two that gives something away, that gives you a hint. And that way, because another important aspect of encounters, especially when roles are involved, is how do you address failure? Like Kay said about combat, it's like if you're just swinging at each other and no one's hitting, then the ceiling caves in, or an owl bear attacks, or your mom calls on the cell phone. Like something important has to happen. It's like,
sorry guys, I can't keep fighting. Mom's here. I'm sorry.
Right. Right. But if you're talking to someone and you need to convince them or something, or you need to convince them not to do something, or you need to get information out, you have to think ahead of what if the dice say no. And I had a player in a game who was talking to someone, didn't know who they were talking to. And I forget what the circumstances were, but they tried persuasion. They tried persuasion again, rolled like a 5 and a 4, just got nowhere. That was like, you know what, fuck it, friends. Cast friends on him. And then that many sessions later is now coming back to roost, though they don't necessarily realize that yet. But you have to plan for failure. And my rule of thumb is, if this is something that you absolutely have to know and there's no other way for you to get access to that information, then you don't roll for it.
Yeah. Or you have an alternate way for them to get that information. It's same with traps. If there is a trap that is lethal, right, and they have to get through it. If there is a seal on a vault door and they have to get the item behind that vault door, but they cannot break that seal, then you have to give them another way to get that. And maybe, hey, you didn't succeed. There's other ways. Like, here's a bone. It's gonna be more difficult because you didn't succeed. But yeah, locking critical information, critical items, whatever that's gonna be, behind a roll. Every time. That is the roll. Everyone will nat 1. Every time. You will burn through 6 inspirations and you will never beat that DC. It's just how it is.
Because the dice tell a story. And if you write your story wrong, the dice will show you.
Yes. So again, maybe there are, yes, it's much easier to get this information if you're able to intimidate this guard. But that guard's difficult to intimidate. So then maybe you have to go and find this deserter who's run off into the woods, doesn't trust you. You have to do some shit to gain his trust so you can then persuade him to tell you what he knows, but he's not going to tell just anyone because he fled because he has this information. So yeah, there has to be another way around it. There has to be another way to get there. And yeah, Lurking Writer says, gradients for difficulty rewards is one of the things I like about some non-D&D systems. Success with a complication, triumph, 1 advantage, 2 threats. Yeah, and I think the other really important thing about NPC encounters is they cannot be completely isolated. With very few exceptions, people do not live in a bubble. If you've gone around and intimidated every single person that you've come across, town's going to be like, those people are jerks. We don't want you here. Right? Your cost of food and drink and lodging is going to go up because you are known to drive people away. Likewise, if you're playing the horny bard and you fuck your way through everyone in town, sooner or later those people are going to get together and be like, wait, you did that? I did that. They didn't tell me they were fucking around on the side. Great. There are consequences. Like if you date all the bachelors in Stardew Valley, they notice.
Yep.
Eventually.
So, fun fact, I have someone close to me that has fucked his way through a city. And at one point we're going out to eat. And it's like 2 p.m. on like a Wednesday. It's like a weekday. We walk into one place. He grabs me, walks me out of there. I'm like, what? He's like, the waiter there, one night stand. So we go to the next place. Goes in. He's like, the busboy. He's called me twice in the past week. I have not answered his call. Then we go to the next place. Don't even walk in. He's like, the maitre d' here can't do it. And so we had to go. I think the 5th restaurant is where we actually like walked in and sat down, because if you, and it's not just like a sex thing, but like if you have encounters with a lot of people and you're not careful or discriminatory about them, then that will bite you in the ass. And that leads into another important point, in that every NPC you meet should be a whole person. And that means as a player, you should treat them as somebody who has thoughts and dreams and ideals and stuff. But then also as a GM, you have to take the extra step to not just make them a vending machine for whatever the party wants. And that doesn't necessarily mean give them like a big detailed backstory. Like in the campaign we just restarted, I was doing the math, and I think I have over 50 NPCs, and in my head they're all like distinct and have like character and whatnot. But there are a lot of them where it's just like they have this one detail about them, the end. And it could be something as simple as like when you met them that day, the milk that went into their coffee was a little off, and now their tummy is feeling yucky. And that's why they're the way they are. Not every NPC has to have like, this deep, rich, but they all have to have a desire and a fear. Because if they don't have a desire or a fear, then that means that either they can be too easily persuaded or too easily intimidated, or they can't be persuaded and they can't be intimidated.
Lurking Writer says there are 3 narratives: the one the GM has tried to set up, the one the players try to create, and the one that the dice want to happen. If you're incredibly lucky, all 3 line up perfectly. Yaga. Oh, Yaga. This is why my bards always hand out business cards after the deed that explicitly state the bearer of the card is not in any sort of exclusive relationship with said bard, but they get 20% off booking fees for returning the card.
Now someone I know is about to get a stack of business cards, and he's going to be really mad about it.
Social karma will always come back to slap you. Try to weigh the odds in your favor so that they slap you in the back and not the face. Exactly.
And as a GM, when you're there are many ways to reward good gameplay, and I've seen many GMs run into the problem of like, oh well, every time my players did something, I gave them like a magic item, and now they're like just loaded up to the gills with all this bullshit, and now I can't plan it. It's like, you don't necessarily need to like do that. Like, Roxy has a punch card for pies because she won a pie eating contest. Well, no, she got a bunch of free pies for, and then she also has a punch card, and those counted towards the punch card. So she's saving the party money, even though they're like money isn't necessarily an issue with the party. But Roxy's like, look at this free thing I get for accomplishing this thing. Or, if you break up a bar fight and run a bunch of ruffians out of the bar, then you get a free round on the bartender. Or you get like, a heavily discounted night. Like, you can have NPCs pass information to the players. Like, there are so many ways in which you can. In my game there was a witch, and the players got pretty close to the witch, and the witch was like, all right, I'm going to show you how to make healing potions. And so a couple of people in the party figured out how to make healing potions, which are like a gold a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And so not only do they have a way to avoid paying for these things now when they could just collect the ingredients, but they also have, if they were really in a bind, they could make healing potions and sell them to people. And so on.
And rewarding good, so like a lot of concerns that GMs have is with murder hoboing, and murder hoboing by and large happens when there are no social consequences to what you're doing.
Right.
And again, think of how reputation spreads in a town. If you go in and try and intimidate and pick a fight with every single person in town, people are going to be more aggressive to you. If you come in and you go to the pub and you are tipping generously, if you are buying rounds, if you see someone in a bind and you help them out, even if it's just like, oh, you're trying to fix your broken wagon wheel, I'll help lift the wagon so you can put it back on, then people are going to become more generous and they're going to be more likely to help you out, to answer your questions, to give you information. And you'll be welcome in places. People walk in, you walk into the bar and everyone goes, hey, like, it's you. That feels really good to a party.
So Zycram brings
sir.
up a good question that I really want to answer. Out of curiosity,
Yes.
would you ever allow a variation of a respec via a side encounter if someone accidentally borked their character? Now, I love putting custom mechanics into my games. In the home game that Kay and I are in, there are two custom religions, and now three custom religions, and two of the characters have fully homemade custom mechanics. And with both of them, when designing it, I was like, we talked back and forth, and they're like, okay, this might be too overpowered, so we're not going to do that. This is going to be good. We're going to do that. And the understanding was, if this ends up being problematic, either because it's too overpowered and I can't effectively plan it against it in relation to the other players, or it's not working for you because it's borked and not doing what you need it to do, then we're gonna go and change it.
Yeah.
And as long as you're not trying to min-max and then go, okay, so I've min-maxed, but I could min-max a little bit more, so let me change these things. A conversation I had with a player was there are different ways to address the stats system. The first game I ever played in was a straight roll down, so I think I had a 9 in strength and a 6 in constitution and a 17 in charisma, and I was playing a bard. But one of the things that I'll do is, if it's a game where min-maxing isn't necessarily going to be a thing, especially when I trust the players, I'm just like 16, 14, 12, 10, 10, 10. Go. And that's technically a little bit higher than what one of the defaults that Dungeons & Dragons officially gives you. And I had a player go, oh, well, I can't play this character that I really want to play. And I'm like, well, why not? And it's like, well, because I need this number in this one, and this number in this one, and this one, and this one. And it's like, so what you're saying is you need a 16, 14, 13? And they're like, well, yeah, but you said I can only have. I'm like, you change it to 13. Play the character. Quit fucking with me. This character you really want, you're gonna play that character. Get in here and have a good time. And if you build a druid sorcerer, and then you find yourself in melee combat all the time, or you do a warlock priest or a warlock cleric dual class, and you're like, I really just want to go and bonk things, then I'm going to be like, okay, well, then your character is now a bonker. Like, do you want to be a barbarian? Do you want to be a fight? Like, done. Like, because the point is, you're here to have fun. And I'm not going to force you to show up and spend 3 or 4 hours on a Saturday, on a Sunday, on a Monday night when you have a whole life outside of it, playing a character that you hate. And if it's not the mechanics of the game, but like the actual character that you brought, then oops, they tripped and fell into a giant void. And hey, look at this new person that's walking up. The end. Like, there are moments in TTRPGs that are incredibly serious and incredibly like moving and really overflowing with emotion and importance. And it's my job as a GM to get you there. And so if you're like, the things as they are now won't get me there, then you and I will work together to remove those obstacles so that you could get there.
Kyle says, I think I see someone with a 16 charisma on screen, and he gets an extra +1 for his bow tie of cuteness. And yes, that is a bow tie. It's getting a bit worn. I need to order a new one, but I need to be employed first.
Yeah.
But yes, and then like, who was it? There was a great comment up before we all got distracted by Gilmore. Yeah, Mimics and Misfit says, otherwise, you know, if you're rude to everyone in town, you walk in and all you just hear is like, this fucking guy. Yeah. Like if the players are being jerks for no good reason, because sometimes players are jerks for reasons.
Yeah.
But if they're just going murder hobo, if they're just being jerks, like, yeah, have people start reacting to them like, oh, look at this guy. Yeah, no, let's, you know, you walk into the bar, silence falls, all of a sudden everyone gets up and leaves. That doesn't feel good. For respec as a newbie scrub who never really plays, the idea of deciding multi-class or whatnot is always intimidating. Feels like a nice, safe way. Yeah, like, I have definitely sat down with GMs and been like, hey, I really want to do like this thing, right? Hey, it's like I'm getting ready to play my a new character, which I'm very excited about. And I was like, I really want to play this subclass. It's broken. GM, are you cool with this? And GM's like, yeah, go. Bet. So just to ask, I had a player snub every NPC they met in the past. I was trying to tie their backstory and give them assistance. Yep. So we are already, David, we've already come to the 1.5 hour mark.
Yeah.
So let's make sure we hit any other big important points you have about NPCs, encounters. Chat, if you have any final questions, shout them out, because your friend's had a long day and needs to go eat very soon.
I'd say, I wouldn't necessarily call it an advanced tip, but something that can add even more flavor to your interactions is ask yourself what your NPC wants from the player. Like, because, you know, if you're talking to a spy and you're trying to get information out of the spy, what does that spy want from, you know, the 7-foot barbarian in front of you? Like, what do they want? And then think about how they're going to extract that from your players with as little give as possible. And of course, like, you know, it's influenced by how much they like the person. Mm-hmm. Like, I always try to build at least 1 or 2 NPCs that from very early on are on the player's side, that really like the players, where if they get stuck or if they're having a bad time, they can then come seek this person out and then go, hey, I need help. I need a night of rest. I just need something. The world is against me. And then what's also great is you can then take that NPC and then kill them later, and then the party will be like really bad about it. Um, but
That's an
for
okay
the most
Satan moment.
right, but for the most part, like when your party walks into a bar or walks into a tavern and they sit down at a table, the bartender wants your money. So like have that be the motivation for them to come over and be like, hey, what do you want? Like, oh, you're not drinking? Get out of my bar. Or, if you all want water, get out of my bar. It's like, oh, you want water? Well, it's going to cost the same as a beer. Do you want a beer instead? No more water? Okay. I will take 2 copper for this cup of well water that I just fetched out of the dish pit. Um, so like, yeah, I think the key to having good textured encounters is having NPCs that have their own life and have their own world, and that makes your world feel a lot more lived in. You can get clued into politics, you can get clued into people's relationships, you can figure out who's banging who and who's stealing what, and who's a really stand-up guy and who's helping the orphans and who's supplying the orphans with knives. Like you can find out all sorts of stuff. Yeah, in my home game, we know who's supplying the orphans with knives.
Technically, it wasn't me.
Yeah, for once it wasn't Cat.
And also think about part of the part of why video games and TTRPG NPCs can feel a little bit weird and hollow and cardboard is like, what do these people need? Like, what are they fighting? And like, what do they need to stop? What do they need? And what are they doing actively to make that happen? Because in the real world, it's very rare that people who are not highway robbers are just sitting around going, gee, I hope a big hero will come and save my field is full of gophers. I'm just gonna sit here until someone shows up with the tools to go club a gopher over the head.
Yeah, yeah. That is another good point. Make sure that the world moves without your players. Like if your player has a favorite NPC that hangs out at the bar in the tavern, one day they come in, the person's not there. Like, well, where are they? They're like, well, they're on holiday with their partner. They'll be back in 3 days. Or they took off on a job and they'll be back in a week, maybe, if they make it out alive. You know, um, which is why every business I set up in my games either has extremely limited open hours or there are multiple people working on a rotating schedule. And listen, for someone who does not like spreadsheets, charting out the work schedules and like taking in like PTO requests from people I made up in my head is annoying as shit.
For
Don't do
someone
it.
who is furious whenever a certain store in a certain valley is closed.
Oh, listen. Mm, listen, Marnie, get to work. Go do your job.
Lurking Rider says, have your NPCs evolve. If your players encounter them later down the line, don't necessarily have them doing the same thing or even still be in the same location. Make it seem like they're off having their own adventures. If a quest giver is spoken to and the group passes up a request sometime later, have them encounter the remains of that quest giver's expedition.
Yeah. In something that we're working on bringing to the game that Kay and I are making is the consequence of
Hey, Jason, we're about to wrap up, but we're so glad you're here.
the consequence of what happened to the people who tried to do what our characters are doing before they showed up, and the need for our characters to do what they do, the need for the organization, because a big part of having so history doesn't just happen in the past. history is happening as we're living. And so, if you don't go and kill the rats in the sewer, then all of a sudden a shopkeeper goes missing. And you go to the shopkeeper and there's no one there, but there's a trap door that's broken. And, there's blood and bones. Oh, wow.
Dicram, thank you so much for the gift subs. That is 10 community subs. Valorant gave out 2 community subs. Thank you so much. And a hype trick, y'all. Y'all, thank you so much. Wow.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you.
It is the end of September. Yes, thank you so much. Genuinely. Oh, yes, and enjoy all of the little emotes now, because I personally I think we have some fun ones.
Yes.
As I spam the Gil Bongo, and now you can make David laugh.
Lizard, 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 lizard.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Exile.
Now I forgot what I was talking about.
And the bits. Thank goodness gravy, y'all. Thank you. Genuinely. Today has been a day.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a day that's gonna end in good things. But we'll find out. But thank you. David, I barely made it to stream today. I was like, if I don't hear from David real soon, this isn't happening. Thank you, genuinely. That I am too tired to be. Matt, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Y'all are too much. Y'all are way too much. Thank you. But it ended good things then. It's very, very appreciated. We're talking about NPC and world dynamics, but I am make them cry, do more. Look. Be lucky enough to have players who are as awesome as the people in my chat. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you. Genuinely. So much. I cannot. No, I think we need to go find someone to raid.
Yeah.
But yes.
Oh, wow.
Lurking Writer. Thank you for y'all. What the actual World Duck Day. Yes. Oh. And then there be thank you. Thank you all. That's a level 6. I think 6 is the highest we've ever had. Thank you. The talk show playlist is not matching the energy of this right now. But y'all, thank you. Y'all are the best. You make every Tuesday better. And I hope you all know that. So we are, I think we're going to go see, there was much rejoicing. Thank you. I think we're going to go see Live from the Apocalypse. But first, let me do some very important, thank you, Matt, Mimics and Misfits, for the resub. Thank you, Alaria, for the resub. Thank you, Zycram, for 10 community subs. Thank you, Exile, for community sub. Thank you, Mimics and Misfits, for community subs. 5 of them. Thank you, Lurking Writer, for 5 community subs. Y'all are ridiculous, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate as David is terrified by Mentalamia's promise. Y'all are great. I would say be kind to yourself and be excellent to others, but obviously you're being excellent to others. So I hope you're being kind to yourselves. May your games be full of fun encounters and great NPCs and incredible players. And I'm gonna go lay on the floor for a hot second. So thank you all. We will see you next time. Come see us on Saturday when David will be streaming his fundraiser. Thank you, as always, for your support. You all are so wonderful. And we will see you next time. Let's see if this button works. Does it work? Does it work? It does not work. Now I have to do it the old-fashioned way. See you next time. Bye.